This is going to be a look at some Trenton Simpson film from the Ravens' Week 3 preseason loss to the Tampa Bay Bucks down in Florida. I'll be honest with you, evaluating his second game was a lot of fun compared to last week. First of all, it's going to be very easy to find him in the clips. I have him spot shadowed, number one. But even if I didn't, he's almost always lined up to the boundary. I think you're going to see one example in this set of 11 plays where he's not. So Patrick Queen's position. He's either at inside linebacker to the boundary, or the Ravens used this kind of cool little 3-3 look this week whereby they got 3 down linemen and then Simpson and 2 other inside linebackers. So, what is Simpson in that role? Well, he's lined up as an edge rusher, but potentially he could be used to drop back into an actual 3-3 look. He could be used as a guy to play number 2 man, and I'll show you one example of him playing the tight end man to the field and empty, where he thought he looked pretty good. Overall, I thought he played with a lot more force this week, for the most part, than as compared to week 2. A couple examples of him, to be honest with you, taking on blocks where I'd like to see him be more physical. Get his pads below the blocker's pads, and not just get to the leverage side, but do it with some force. Do it with some intention. I thought I saw 2 examples where he did not this week, even though most of these snaps are going to look pretty good. He definitely played more decisive, and he was faster. Those things go hand in hand. You're making decisions quick, and so you look faster, or you are faster, because you're getting there a half step sooner. There's no doubt about it to me. He looked more like the guy who was once projected to be a round 2, round 1, late round 1 pick potentially in the NFL draft. One thing to note, it was his coverage responsibility. This week it was generally very clear. And I thought I noticed some differences in the coverages that were called when he was on the field, but I can't prove that. I'm not going to take a ton of time to try to do so for a preseason game. But if we see that manifest itself over the course of the season, if and when he gets in the game, then that'll be interesting. But look, he's lined up to the boundary, often matched up with the running back in these clips, especially backside trips. It looked like the Ravens were just a man call backside with the corner on the X and Simpson on the running back. So he wasn't involved. Why do I make that point? He wasn't involved in much or any pattern read on routes. It wasn't like, okay, if two goes out, one's coming in, let me stay inside leverage on one. Okay, 2 runs and under, let me step up and bang him because I know the corner and the safety are going to lock on one, or whatever coverage they're playing. I didn't see any of that. And he responded to it by playing fast, decisive, like I said. And what I really love the most before we get to the film is his effort and his pursuit. He was there to finish plays. You can tell that he got the memo on something in terms of how do we finish plays with the Baltimore Ravens defense. Let's get to the film. First time I have him on the field is a 3rd and 15. It's going to be a completed pass on a Z under. Simpson, as you saw from the spot shadow, he's up top. I'm only going to give you the all-22 angle, by the way. He's up top. He's an edge rusher trying to get upfield. Potential for the running back to chip him. He does not. And in any case, Simpson's trying to get upfield. Just shows you a little bit of his versatility, being able to line up there. And the Ravens still had 2 inside linebackers to cover the underneath stuff. Okay. Later in the third quarter, it's a 1st and 10. He's going to play the Y-hide to the boundary. So you're going to get, I think, some type of play action here and the tight end across the formation. And I think that Simpson does a great job here. 48, Jeremiah Moon is going to take the quarterback, as he should. Simpson covers up the tight end going into the boundary. And then Raheem Jarrett, Maryland graduate, I did a film on earlier this week that I'll link up here, put in the description. He catches it on an over concept, over the top, pretty much wide open, obviously. But Simpson doing a nice job covering there to the boundary. There's a lot more room to the boundary in the NFL. It's not like college where the hashes are a whole lot wider, and there's going to be a whole lot less space to cover. In this case, there's still a lot of room over there to the boundary, and that's why NFL teams, utilize it so much in terms of the point of attack. He's just basically a clear-out route, if you ask me, to pull him down. This tight end is just basically a clear-out route to pull him down and to reveal the over concept, or open it up, I should say, for Raheem Jarrett. All right, next one is an inside run play. You can see he's spot shadowed. Show it to a couple times while I talk on it. He's dealing with an offensive lineman. He also has a pulling guard. And there's a little bit of a false step here. But look, this is one of the things that's annoying about myself included, people who evaluate film. Like, yes, he gets a pulling guard. And, in most circumstances, a inside linebacker seeing a pulling guard, that's a trigger. That's a key. You go with it. I don't know what he's being told to read. I don't know what he's being told to read at all. But you can see that he's stepping to his right this way. And this guard is pulling in the opposite direction. if he was supposed to be reading the guard, clearly he's false stepped. But if he's reading something else, whatever it is, maybe he's right. So only the Ravens coaches and him know that. But one of those situations where I would suspect, based on the limited experience I have compared to these guys, obviously, that he's false stepping. He's a wrong step. So his step for me would be a 0 on that play. All right, so now the Ravens have been doing this a lot in the preseason. The boundary side safety, which I think they've since released, is going to take the running back into the flats, and I think Simpson is going to blitz. They've been doing this a lot into the boundary in the preseason. Not as much with Simpson on the field, but you can see basically they're bringing Simpson to occupy the right tackle, and really they're just rolling to a cover 3 is what they're doing. Jeremiah Moon is dropping out to the hash on the right. Ross, I think, is taking the hash on the left. Safety spinning down, and I think you've got zone turn here, middle of the field here. This may be a man call to the backside because you've got only one receiver over there, so that's why you might see a difference in the turn there. I'll let it run one more time. But as far as Simpson goes, he's just there to occupy the tackle. Could be a read. If the running back crosses the quarterback's face, then he may try to cross over the midline and go play the backside or a cutback or something like that. But since the running back releases, it could be a read blitz. So I think he's playing decisive. I suspect that this is a read here. So what I'm talking about is if the running back crosses face, he will respond, like a running play, and then the safety could help out on a slant, like an RPO concept, or if the running back crosses face, he might sit here because he's the read man theoretically in RPO. But as it is, the running back releases, and he knows that they're playing cover 3, so he's blitzing immediately. I suspect that this is a read, and when I say he's playing more decisive, that's what I mean. I suspect that it's a read. I can't prove it, and he's responding quickly to his key. All right, he's a rush end from the boundary. Not a bad rush up the field for a guy who's not an edge rusher. As far as what he practices every day. I do love the hustle and the effort, and I think there's 3 plays in here that really kind of give you an example of this. He's at least trying something with a move. I think the Ravens have some D linemen on the field that just in this game that really just can't play for us. I'll put it that way. And there's been some escapability and inability to contain quarterbacks in the preseason because we've had guys in the field that just aren't going to play in the regular season. But in any case, great effort by Simpson to pursue the football and get back there and make contact. He wanted to get involved. That was clear. All right, he's again down here as an edge rusher at the bottom. He's assigned to the quarterback, and this one will loop a couple of times. You can see that he gets involved in the play. He's assigned to quarterback, so what I mean is he's assigned to give the quarterback a give read, meaning if the quarterback was to keep it, then Simpson would be in position to make the tackle. Therefore, the quarterback is not going to keep it. He's going to give it to the running back, and Simpson knows that. He knows that he's forcing a give read. So once he does so, flows inside, helps get involved in the tackle. It's a 5-1 look. I think Ross is the only inside linebacker at depth. So what I mean is 5-1. There's your 5, and there's your 1. Still a nickel look in terms of having 5 DBs on the field. So Simpson provides a little bit of that versatility. I'm not a huge fan of the 1 inside linebacker looks, but Ravens see some of the stuff where you got tight end running back into the boundary like this. They have the ability to walk Simpson up and just leave 1 DB assigned over here. We could do whatever we want with these 4 DBs, depending on what the coverage is. All right, next one, he's into the boundary again. And he's going to cover the running back man. He's trying to stay square. I think I actually give you the end zone angle of this one. I might be wrong. But look, what I like about it is he's making contact with the tight end first. I think it's a tight end lined up on the outside. I think it's 81. So he tries to impede his route and then goes and covers the running back. The quarterback is not looking to that direction at all. So when I say his coverage responsibility was simplified, I'm just talking about because it's to the boundary. I would be interested to see him to the field some, even though that's not where Patrick Queen's position lines up generally. And you can see by the end of the play that, this tight end is wide open. Quarterback's unable to see him because there's pressure there. All right, lined up deeper here. And almost like the Mike, really. Takes like an overlap angle and finishes off the play. thought I gave you the end zone angle for a couple of these plays, but maybe I didn't. I thought I tried to cut the end zone angle in here for this one as well. You can see nice finish by him. Maybe you'd like to see him be a little more downhill in terms of his angle, not bucket stepping, back here like this. A lot of people, would do drills with a bag behind the heels of the linebacker. That way, you can't bucket step. Or if he does bucket step, then that bag, which started off parallel like that, is going to end up kicked like this. And you don't have to really verbally redirect the kid at that point. They know that they've bucket stepped and they've knocked the bag backwards. But in any case, you can see his willingness to get involved with the play. He's clean. No, there's no one to block him. I'd like him to be a little bit more downhill. But I understand, some of the rating services and stuff, they're just grading him on a tackle, and it's a 3-yard gain. So, it is a good play, but there's little finer points that I would like to think he could do better. To the boundary again in trips. This is one that I just don't think there's a whole lot of force here and commitment with how he takes on the block. It's an F counter play, basically. And there's really nothing that Welch is able to get to. Welch isn't able to get here and help, with Simpson setting it inside. And Welch isn't able to get there. You can see the tackle releases right up and closes off Welch. So as Simpson sets this inside, he's on the side that he's supposed to be on. But I just don't, there's no thump here. There's no real, okay, yes, the design of it is such that you've got to be on the outside, and your backside guy, your tandem, Welch in this case, is going to fit on the inside of that block. Cool. Well, what happens when he gets closed off? What happens when they combo up to him? That's the reason why you play with a little bit extra force. You may think I'm being critical, but this is a guy who wants to start for us at some point, for the Ravens. He's got to play with more force than just this. You may disagree, and that's no problem. I really like his game. I really like the talent that's there, especially this week, him playing fast. But he's got to take on these blocks with more force and more commitment. It's called block destruction, not block acceptance. And to me, we would say you're just accepting being blocked here and not destroying the block. All right, I think manned on the touch. Nope, I missed that one, my bad. Covers the running back into the flats here. And a nice tackle, I think, on the sideline. Little play action. Quarterback comes back to the running back because there's pressure in his face. Real nice tackle over on the sideline. Example of his physicality. You'd like to see that physicality on the last play that I just showed you in terms of taking on the block. But he did a nice job this week tracking the running back, covering the running back. Certainly looks like man by the rest of the coverage element here. And Simpson's on his guy, finishes the play. Awesome stuff. Way better than week 2. All right, he's going to run through the quarterback's face. I actually missed a play where I had him covering the tight end. Hopefully I've got it at the end. He's basically going to run through a blocker here to make contact with the quarterback. I'm not sure if he gets credit with a quarterback hit or not here, but I love the take on here. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about commitment and playing through the block, block destruction. Difference is he's taking on a little running back here and not a tight end. He runs right through it, makes contact with the quarterback, but then pulls up, doesn't wrap him up, take him to the ground, which we know in this day and age would draw a penalty. Thought I had one more play queued up here, him playing man on the tight end and empty. Let me see if we got it. Nope, back to the first play. All right, so I thought, as I said in the beginning, the little summary, he played with more force. You can tell that there's at least 3 plays where I think things could improve drastically, especially block destruction. That's a big one for inside linebackers for me. You've got to be able to take on blocks. Even if you're outmanned, you got to use correct technique. And I didn't think his pads was below that tight end's pads on that F counter play. And therefore, the inside angle, the running back cutting it up inside the kick-out block was there because Welch got closed off. Conceptually, for me, I think he played really well with what he was asked to do. And I would like to see, I wish we had another preseason game, for real, so that we could see more reps from him and maybe an expanded coverage role in terms of reading routes when he's got 2 receivers to his side, 2 under, 2 vertical, 2 out, and see how he responds to some of those read coverages. Appreciate you guys checking the video out. Let me know what you thought of Trenton Simpson's play in week 3. I think it's pretty obvious he played a lot better than week 2. Quite efficient, a lot more physical, and his pursuit and willingness, dedication to get to the ball was obvious and clear, and you always want to see that. You want 11 guys out there like that, right? If you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. If you think other Ravens fans or Clemson fans would enjoy this content, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it on social media to help this content get more reach.